Good morning and welcome to the Daily Cyber Briefing for Thursday, the 3rd of April. I'm Stephen Ridgway. It appears that a significant amount of customer information has been stolen from the Royal Mail, UK Royal Mail. It is quite likely that the group that was previously responsible for a significant Samsung breach has managed to exfiltrate or steal effectively a large amount of data for 144 gigabytes worth, which is an awful lot of information from the Royal Mail. It appears that the information taken includes things like names, physical addresses, various the usual sorts of things, phone numbers, both senders and recipient data as well, details about packages, the usual sorts of stuff. So, excuse me. If you are a user of the Royal Mail, which in the UK is quite, a lot of us, although not, it's not, there's no longer a monopoly. Just be aware, it's the sort of information that might be useful for scamming attacks, phishing, your parcel, blah blah, parcel redirection type email scams, usual sort of stuff. And because it contains information about packages and addresses, there is a possibility that criminally minded people could ascertain from that maybe what it is you've had delivered. So are there things worth stealing in your house? I'm not sure. I haven't seen the data, so I'm not sure how detailed the information is. However, I would say, as always in these circumstances, consider changing your user credentials on the Royal Mail website, and be vigilant for signs of malicious activity in and around your account, bearing in mind things like redirecting. You can do things like redirect parcels from the through the website. So if your account gets compromised on the basis of off the back of this information being leaked, you could find that stuff that was supposed to be delivered to you gets delivered to somebody else. Those sorts of things. So keep an eye on things. But other than that, it looks like it was a supply chain attack rather than an attack on the Royal Mail's IT systems directly. So yeah, that does lead us to the usual reminder to be vigilant and cautious with what information you share with third parties, and to do an appropriate level of due diligence around what it is you're happy to share with third parties, and some confidence about how they're going to secure it. And that's an ongoing process, by the way. It isn't something that you do when you onboard an organization. It's something that you need to be regularly doing. Hopefully you've got clauses in your contract with your third parties that require them to cooperate with you around this sort of stuff. So notify you if they're making changes to things that might affect the security of your data, give you the right to audit, that sort of thing. So yeah, have a think about that. And then on a different subject entirely, there's a very good article I read in Dark Reading, which is actually talking about the cyber war going on between Israel and Iranian proxies, However, the reason I think it's worth having a look at is because it sets out in uh, I think a reasonable amount of detail what it is that is likely to be targeted if your country finds itself in conflict, either physically or in the information arena, with another sort of well-funded nation state. So, as we've said before, attackers. One of the attacker's objectives will be to create disruption. The idea is to create disruption within the attacked country with the objective of demoralizing the population to the point where the population no longer want to stand up to the aggressor. And that can come in many ways. There's the straightforward misinformation stuff. Aren't our attackers nice people really, and aren't we being horrible by defending ourselves against them? Kind of thing. Then there's the usual, if we just grind you down, you're going to get sick of this, as in the Vietnam War protest kind of stuff in looking back to the 70s in the States. Yeah, right. That there is a legitimate argument around whether one should or shouldn't be involved in a war, whatever it might be. However, if you can generate public feeling against defending your organization, your country against attacks from other countries, that's a very useful thing to be able to do. And then there's just the other side of it is stuff around leaving the populace feeling like they are undefended. So disruptions to transport, disruptions to critical national infrastructure, power, water, all those sorts of things. Financial disruption. If you can't use your credit cards or you can't use your Apple Pay or whatever because it just doesn't work anymore, that has a significant impact on your, it takes your focus away from, big politics and into the minutiae of day-to-day living. So one of the things that they point out here is that suppliers of, not suppliers per se of military equipment, but of organizations that support the nation state's armed forces. So organizations that may provide food, for example, or transport, or components that may get used as part of defense systems, whatever it may be. So you don't have to be an actual supplier to the military. You may be simply somebody who makes freeze-dried food. That could make you a target for these sorts of people. Healthcare, obviously, emergency services, those sorts of things. Cameras, providers of Wi-Fi services, all sorts of stuff. It's a good article. It's very interesting because it does kind of illustrate why cyber defense is not just focused on maintaining the profitability of your own organization or defending your organization against criminal attacks. It may well be that you will be targeted as part of a concerted attempt to disrupt Western civilization. Now, I've said this before, and I'm sure people kind of look at this and laugh, but it is genuinely going on. This is a very good example of of what happens under these circumstances. So have a read, I would suggest, have a little think, and make sure, do the risk assessments. Is there anything that your organisation does that could make them a target for disruption as part of the softening up of the populace if other nation states take a turn against us. Right, that's all from me for today. I hope you have a good Thursday, and I'll speak to you all again tomorrow morning.